Hello there, welcome back to the final video of the week. Today I'm doing something sillier. Now you may be wondering, since I've been watching those depressing, World War II documentaries, like what have I been doing to keep my sanity? Well, I've been watching Doctor Who's. Old Doctor Who's. So I'll talk about them today. Yeah, well, I watched the Tom Baker one earlier. I watched the Peter Davidson one while I was watching the, depressing ones. So, because you need the depressing documentaries, because you need something that's more light to keep you going when you're watching those things. So, yeah, these are new Doctor Who box sets that have come out, and you're getting seasons worth. So you get like 6 or 7 stories. You get all the extras from the old DVDs, plus you get new extras as well. They've been restored. These ones are shot in video, so they've actually upgraded them quite a lot. I'm not sure you can upgrade them any more than they have now. I think that's as far as they can go to make them look good. But they look really good for their time, and they look really wonderful. So it's worth it for the upgrade. And you're basically getting like 7 or 8 discs per box, because you get an extra disc, plus you get all the individual discs for each story. So they're all very good. I'm sure most of the people that watch my videos will be thinking, he does Bresson movies, what's he talking about Doctor Who for? Well, it's because I used to watch Doctor Who all the time. I still watch Doctor Who. I've been a fan for years. It's my little thing. Some people are Star Wars fanatics. I'm a Star Wars fan, but not a fanatic. Some people are Trekkies. I'm not really Trekkie. I like Doctor Who. I've watched the good times and the bad times. I know the good times and the bad times. At the moment we're in kind of a rough period where some of the stories haven't been that good recently. I like Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. I just don't like the stories she's been in. It's that thing, is I wish the stories were better because I like her as the Doctor. But we'll just come off like the Matt Smith Capaldi run, which I thought were terrific. So I can't complain that much. I liked them for a long time. Now it's a different focus. It's not really in tune with what I like, so I'll just rough it through till another showrunner comes along who might be closer to my taking the character, really, what I like about it. So in this period of Doctor Who's that I've been watching, one of them came from before I started watching, when I was too young, when I was like, I think it came out when I was maybe 1 or something. Another one's when I was a kid and I was watching Doctor Who, because I started watching Doctor Who about halfway through the Tom Baker period, all the way till it was cancelled. So the Peter Davidson ones I actually watched on their release on TV. I was watching them as they came out. The Tom Baker series, I'll talk about first though. That's season 12. This was like the classic period. If you're a Whovian or something, you know what I'm talking about. The classic period is the Tom Baker first 3 series, with Robert Holmes was the script editor, and he did a lot of the writing of the episodes, and Philip Hinchcliffe was the producer. And for about 3 years they were really on par with... They were just delivering great stories all the time. They didn't have great budgets, but they used their imagination to do some really good stories, so you didn't really mind an odd wobbly set or an odd weird effect. It didn't work, because the stories were so good and so tight that... And Tom Baker was at his peak as a Doctor, and he had Elizabeth Sladen as his assistant, so it didn't really matter, like, some of the effects. It didn't really matter, because the stories really worked, so it was always... Like, every 1 out of 2 stories were classics, and the ones that weren't classics were always damn good. So I'm hoping the other 2 seasons from their run will be out soon, because they're all great. In this box set you get like a couple of classics. You get Arc Infinity and Genesis of the Daleks. These are the 2 Stone Cold classics of the first season. They get more consistent as the seasons went on, where you get more and more great stories, but these first ones, you also got some good ones, like Centauran Experiment, which was a 2-parter that was really good. You had Robot, which was a bit clunky. It was Tom Baker's first story, and it had problems, but still a great fun story. And plus you got Tom Baker figuring out what he's going to do. Finally, you get Cyberman 1, Revenge of Cybermen, which was the worst Tom Baker story of that period. But I think it was a holdover from an earlier period and did the script. Because this was them still getting used to the new Doctor, the new, the new companions, the new everything. They were just getting used to it. There was another one called Harry, who's also a character. So I'm just checking to see if I've missed any story. Nope. These were longer stories because Genesis of the Daleks was like 6-parter, I think. Normally there's like 4-parters, but this one there was 6-parter, was a 6-parter as well. So, but these were really good stories. I mean, these really had the really funny dialogue because they could write for Tom Baker's Doctor. He always had weird expressions and weird reactions to things. He didn't quite understand human beings, but he liked them, but he just didn't get them. He'd respond to all these character actors who were, doing the character acting, like, but it's eccentric acting thing, where these people who are going from show to show and back from TV to theatre to TV to theatre. So they've come in and do a Doctor Who. Some would be better than others, but because the scripts were good, you'd actually get some decent acting out of them because they were working with good material. And if they weren't that good, you'd Tom Baker doing weird stuff that would make up for it. And you have to fight it wasn't that good. The idea was behind it was so good that you could have used your imagination, you were fine. Like Ark in Space. Ark in Space. There's so many of these bloody titles. Ark in Space. I think I said Ark Infinity earlier on. I did, sorry. Ark in Space. It's such a good story. The fact that there's some bad special effects in it doesn't really matter because the story's so good. Because about this ark that's taking human beings from Earth into the stars because of sun flares that are going to burn the Earth up. And now this is 100 years later and it's getting invaded by these aliens who are going to take it over and use the human beings for nefarious things. And this is the last of humanity. They have to survive or human beings don't survive. And it's wonderful just the way, the logic of the villains. So it becomes this like trapped, they're in a spaceship and they're trapped with aliens around them and the aliens are getting stronger and they have to use their wits to get out of the situation. So even though the effects aren't good, the story's so good that it doesn't matter. Genesis of the Daleks is about the beginning of the Daleks and how they started and how the politics involved created the Daleks and how mistakes happened that turned human beings into Daleks. It was wonderful as well. I mean, it was just, there's so many good stories, so many good characters, and all the villains were always terrific. Because you'd see where they were coming from if you didn't like them. And they were very topical villains, but they weren't topical in a way you get nowadays where the villains are so topical that they're not even a character. These people had characters. They were eccentric, but they had characters. They were very defined and they were able for the Doctor and they could smart us back to them. You'd have weird scientists who could go off from one and be really weird and eccentric, but Baker could match them. So it was a golden period of Doctor Who. It was really good. It's one of those things where some old shows you watch back, you think, oh god, I was a kid watching that, this is terrible. I had a chance to recently watch old Knight Rider, which I used to watch as a kid, and it was like, oh god, that's awful. I knew it wasn't good when I was a kid, but I didn't realise how bad it was. But this one, they really hold up because they're well written, they're well acted, and despite their flaws, they really just still hold up as great stories. The next one, the other one, it's a Peter Davidson one that I was watching recently. This is more of nostalgia for me because I watched him as kids, these ones as kids, and some of them hold up really well and other ones don't. The big difference here, right, is that the acting, the writing's not as good because the 3 showrunners this first season, they kept on changing them. Because some of the stories came over from the season before from a different showrunner. Then someone took over, it wasn't a showrunner, it was a script editor, was different. And with the script editor the year before, he left again this season, but he wrote some of the stories. Someone else replaced him for a month, then he left, and another guy replaced him. So there was quite a few of the stories came from other periods that had to be readapted to this period. And there were some newer stories in as well that were written at the last minute. So it's all over the place, you know, as a season, because there's some old stuff, some new stuff, and some hastily written stuff. And because the quality goes all over the place. The good thing about it is Peter Davidson as a Doctor is very different from Tom Baker, but actually rewatching him, he's really good as a Doctor. He's really interesting. He's you remember him being a bit fragile. From a kid, just memory of him, because he wasn't Tom Baker, he seemed much quieter. But you actually watch him now, it's no, he's still got authority. It's just he doesn't take control of the screen as much. But he's still interesting to watch. He's still doing the Doctor thing. And he's working really well in his part. So it was a nice surprise to see how good he actually was in the part. His companions have this thing that is similar to what we've got now, which is there's too many of them. There's 3 companions. No one has a chance to actually define himself because there's too many of them. So you get one episode of one episode of the other. And they don't build the way if there's only 1 companion or 2 companions. They can build stuff over a season to make it interesting. There's 3 of them, and it's just... And to be honest, they're not the best actors. In the old shows, somebody get good actors, bad actors as companions. In the peak Tom Baker period, you had good companions because they wrote them properly. So even if it was a character who wasn't a great character, there'd be a good actor in it and they would find ways to make the character work. So you'd have funny things, like the Marta character called Harry from the Tom Baker season. He's not the most unique character, but it's obviously him and Tom Baker got on well. So, and the writers liked the interaction. So they'd write to that, so even though the character wasn't dynamic, they could have a lot of fun with him. In this one, the characters were all kind of whiny. Well, 2 of the characters whine a lot, and they half of them don't want to be here. And the third one's the best one's Nissa, who's a friend of the Doctor's really, and she's the best character because she's quiet. You have to be with these other 2. Adric, who's an actor who can't act, and Tegan, who's this Australian character who's very loud and kind of annoying. Throughout, she's there for the whole of the Peter Davidson era, and she gets better, but the first season it's Jesus Christ, someone shut her up. So that's a problem with characters who are not the best characters. Too many of them that distract them from the Doctor. You also get some stories that aren't that good. I mean, there's 2 stories I think are good stories. There's The Visitation and there's the Earthshock. Both written by Eric Sabert, who was the script editor from that period onwards for a long time. Those were the good stories. Till I became script editor, those are the best stories. Those work. There's about a beginning, middle and end to each of those stories. Characters have stuff to do, even the weaker characters have stuff to do. There's some funny moments. People behave like human beings in a job in those stories. Some characters who don't deserve to die, which is nice because there's more tension to them. They just work better with stories. Plus, one of them kill off the Adric character. In the Earthshock, he gets blown up. Obviously, they weren't fans of that character. Obviously, they saw that character had to go. And I'm sure they did a lot of enjoyment blowing him up. There's that. There's an interesting one called Kinda, which has some problems, but it's still really interesting. It's this kind of weird, hippie-ish one set on an alien planet where not everything works in it, but it's a really interesting atmosphere. It's well directed. The supporting actors are good. There's nice moments throughout it. There's some weird surreal moments in it. It's a nice thing. It's a nice change of pace for the story, for the series. It's yeah, that's nice. That's a different experimental story, but it works well within the new Doctor and the setup. There's 1 or 2 stories that are very flawed. I mean, there's Christopher Alva was written by Christopher Midmead, who was the ex-script editor. It was the first Davidson story, which it's weird. It was one of those ones, and Earthshock were written fast because they were filling slots of failed scripts. And this one, you can feel it's written fast because there's some stuff in it that doesn't make sense, and there's a lot of padding. There's not enough story for the 4 episodes. So there's bits where they walk around an area a lot, and it's like, because there's not enough story. But it's still an enjoyable idea of this place that's a fiction, and the people involved don't know it's a fiction. It's a trap within a trap for the Doctor. It's interesting to watch. It's fun to watch. It's not a great story, but it's still enjoyable. Especially in a kind of nostalgia way, which I enjoyed. Because I have a nostalgia for this period because that's when I grew up watching. So that's a nostalgia one. There's a one called Four to Doomsday, which is kind of stupid and crappy. It's the first one they shot Peter Davidson. It's more enjoyable now than I watch it now than it was when I saw it. I saw it as a kid and I thought it was a bit dull. I even watched it as an adult, it's stupid. But it's enjoyable, there's some good ideas in there, it's just not done as well as it could have been. There's a throwaway two-part called The Black Orchid, which I enjoyed. It's not a sci-fi story, but it's one of those mediocre fun stories that don't entirely work, but there's not a big sci-fi plot involved, so it's just the characters being characters, so you have a bit of fun with it, so it sounds enjoyable too. But there is one called Time Flight, which is the worst story I've ever seen in Doctor Who. It's in some ways it's worth owning on the disc for how bad it is. It's so bad, it makes no sense. And it was a script they had for the longest, I think. They had it for years, like different people in the story, different script writers passing it forward. And eventually they got the guy to write it, and it was terrible. It made no sense. It was shot at the end of the series, but there was no money for it, so the budget was slashed, so all the effects are awful. The story makes no sense. It's all exposition. It's exposition and exposition and exposition. Explaining stuff that doesn't make sense in the first place, and I try to explain it to make it make sense, but it doesn't make sense. And you're getting bored because there's like, pretty much I watched it, and the first episode was kind of silly but fun. Then you get 2 episodes of all this exposition to make sense of stuff that's boring and make no sense. Then there's a finale which is kind of meh. It's absolutely awful. It's terrible. It's like Galactica 1980 bad for like how bad it can be. I mean, you're waiting for Barry Van Dyke to show up for this one because it's that bad. And it's, oh boy, it's worth owning to see if you own one of the worst bits of television ever made in Blu-ray. It's worth it for that. It's so bloody awful. It's almost surreal how bad it is. It's amazing anyone ever let this one through. They must have been desperate. There must have been nothing else in the cupboard for them to make this. This is just so terrible. You would probably be better off with not producing anything and taking a holiday than actually producing this. This was just, oh my god, this is awful. I had to share that. That was because I watched it and it was so bad. But I hope you enjoyed this. This is probably not for the audience I usually make videos for. People who watch these videos probably thinking, well, what's he making this video for? I just want to do something a bit sillier and a bit more fun, a bit of nostalgia. I'm not going to be doing tons of these. I just thought it'd be fun to do, after doing that, since I'm doing a brace on this, I thought it'd be fun to do something as silly as this. Hopefully, I mean, it's still that's still better than Alien Resurrection. You know, Time Flight's still better than Alien Resurrection. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you back soon with more videos, and hopefully soon I'll be doing the rest of those World War II documentaries. I'm just having to gear myself up for them. Okay, I'll be back soon. Right, bye.